Hello and welcome to the Tarkus Zone. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be playing the game Meet Your Maker, and we're in the workshop today, folks. And I'm going to go over a concept, a hallway concept that I call the oven. And let's do a bird's eye view of the structure. This is what the hallway looks like, bird's eye view. And we'll actually go into it and I'll explain it to you right now. This setup has been very successful in one of my outposts. It's actually got quite a bit of kills, and I'm just going to explain it to you right now. So we're going to go down this hallway, and we're going to see here I got a claw trap here. And the hope is that claw trap nails somebody, that claw trap grabs somebody. This piston here is to slow them down enough where the claw has a chance to operate. This piston is optional for this setup. You don't really need it here, so if you're looking for capacity, you can get rid of this. You also could get rid of the claw, but I found that these two combos do get people, because once the person gets clawed here, they're pretty much dead. Because this Inferno Trap here, see how narrow this hallway is that I've created? And you've only get half of the trap, but that half of the trap spans that distance. See it? It spans that corner distance. So even if I'm dealing with this trap here, I have a chance to proc it without even seeing it yet. And especially if I get grabbed by this claw, this whole hallway gets full with fire, plus I put napalm on this. So napalm gets this whole area. So this is a good place where I had piles of tombstones. So let me just take that Y off there. So how you make that narrow hallway is, as you can see, it's just a straight line and it ends with a block. And then you put a half block at an angle there. And then you've got half block on that side, and then you get your half blocks, and then you end up into the other room. So let's say we make our way down here. We've destroyed these traps. When you turn this corner, there is a Inferno Trap, incinerator, and another one there. And those also, that one covers that corner. If they peek around, if they just peek around that corner, that one's going to fire. And then this one is going to fire in this angle too. And that's why I call this the oven, is because you're coming down here, you're dealing with that incinerator, and then two incinerators on this end. Now, I don't know if you noticed, on this side, I've got another piston. And this piston, I have the mod on burning piston. So basically, they got to come around this corner, and there's a piston, bang, bang, bang. Then I've got another, that's why this block is up here. I've got another piston here. Now, you could probably put that piston on this wall if you want, but I found that it's better on the ceiling. And this piston has the burning piston and the blockade as its mod. So this one's firing down. This one's firing sideways. So you're kind of caught around this corner in the oven. And then on top of it, I've got another trap here, another incinerator. And I think on this one, I don't, I need to add napalm on this one. So I'm going to hit Y, and you can see that it covers that distance perfectly. And I have another piston here. So that those pistons, so really there's, in this makeup, there's this one piston here, which is optional, but one piston, two piston, three piston, four pistons to make up this this trap placement. And then you've got one incinerator, 2, 3, 4 incinerator, so 4 incinerators, and then you've got the claw trap. Now you can tweak this any way you want, but I found that this setup, and then in this case, they could go left or right, depending on where your Genmat is. You can have them go one way or the other. In this case, I had them go this way. I mean, you could even, at the end of this hallway, put another Inferno Trap here. But I mean, it's really this little hallway, narrow hallway, I think just gets people. And if they don't go slow, if they don't know what they're doing, they just get cooked in this oven. And it is devastating. I put this together and it was like, wow, I couldn't believe how many people I had die right where I'm standing, or they'd be right here and they'd be dead because they're peeking around that corner. And then, they're trying to time it. And granted, they probably can destroy this piston without a problem because it's right there on that edge. But what I'm hoping, I think what happens is the piston's firing and they're not even understanding that these Inferno Traps can blow through it. And when they fire, they reflect off this wall. So even if you're tucked right here on this edge, thinking you're out of the way, it reflects off this wall, and it scorches them right here, even if they're out of the way. So it's really quite devastating. I mean, I've had all sorts of tombstones in the map that I created with this layout, and it was quite effective. Obviously, you would have a top on this thing. You would be, you would have a, to make it, to make it successful, you have to obviously have a top on it. So that's it right there. That's basically it. Now you probably could get away with a bomb injector at the end, just as a guy. You don't want any bomb injectors in here because they'll destroy your traps. Because when the bouncing medis fall, they'll destroy your traps. But by the time they get here, all the traps are probably destroyed. So you could get away with a nice bouncing Betty trap here as a last ditch effort to get them to. Let me just do this real quick. All right. So you could put it up here in the ceiling. Now you could do this with a hollow cube if you want, or not. You could put a hollow cube in this thing so they'd come around the corner here. And again, I think what you probably, just to save capacity for this to work, you do a bolt shot here. Do a bolt shot and if you got double down, do double down so they don't expect it. And that's a cheap way to get their attention as they come around this corner. Double down, it goes off, they go away, they're like, okay, it's done, they're going to run in, double down might get them, but they're going to come for this thing, to try to get its parts, not realizing that gem is right up there. And so that's a good way to end the oven is to do that. And I think that would be a good. I know this little gem takes a little bit of capacity to do it, and it's not going to get everyone, but it does get quite a few people. And again, I call it the oven. And just to show you here, and again, you can place like this piston that I had on the wall. You could place it in the ceiling. I think you can place it on the floor. I just thought here it forced them to peek around to deal with it. And by peeking around, these guys are good. And then they're going to think, oh, I'm going to be safe right here. And really, with these things having napalm on them, it just cooks them right here on this little nip here. And then you come around the corner, piston, another Inferno. And then this could be an Inferno Trap if you want it to be, depending on how much capacity you want. Yeah, I mean, you either can get, it's just that you don't want to put any traps in this area, especially if you're going to put the bomb injector up in the ceiling there. That's because you just got to watch out where you go to place those. I used to use them a lot, and they work great. They really surprise people, and it really freaks people out. That's what I love about that is it really freaks people out. I think it's in a good spot. I don't know if I want to put that there. Yeah, because if you put that there, that square there, it kind of tells people to look up. But if you got rid of that, as you did as an open, I can't get rid of this bedrock, or I'd get rid of this one too. but just having the open ceiling concept, they might not look up to see that. Or you could do hollow cube to make it blend in better. Hollow cube. So it just looks like two bedrock. So they might not, and then they're gonna get it. But if they're on if they're on a quick run, then they might not get them. I mean, it depends on how they come down and bounce down here, because you want to slow them down enough to make sure that that bouncing Betty gets them. So I think it would be good. I think it will work. I mean, the other option you've got here is to, instead of having that, is to have a piston here, which they're either going to slow down, put a piston there, and then they got to slow down to deal with it. Actually, I'd put the piston, even though the bouncing Betty's there, I'd put it there as a sacrifice trap. If you had the capacity, because then you have to deal with the piston coming, and you're basically pausing for a second, and that's when that's going to come down. So maybe doing that way. I mean, there's many ways. I mean, this is just a basic hallway trap. At this point, I'm past the oven explanation, but you can do whatever you want to the end there. But it's the oven that I really wanted to show you here on how devastating this is. Now, when you look at decor, decor is somewhat. Some people say it kind of gimps it, like if you try to blend your, if you do your walls and you blend all your walls, you're adding a little bit of difficulty because the traps are harder to see. And I don't know if you've noticed the last few times that I've built my bases or shown you my bases, I have not done what I'm doing here, because I find that my bases are too hard as it is. So I like to keep my walls white, or I'll give it a way of looking where it makes sense. But there's people that will find the decor that kind of blends the traps in, so that if you're not, I can't do this hallway, if you're not paying attention, they blend in. And so that basically, look, they're just blending in. And so it's another way to make your sinister layer more devious, is if you find decor that blends into the traps. And so somebody that just is not that good at looking at the difference will get caught in traps that they're like, oh crap, there's a trap there, and because you blended it in and then didn't see it. So that's one way of adding difficulty to your base. Now, like I said, I try not to do this technique anymore because my bases seem to be very devious as they are, without having to do the gimmick. And the thing is, I call it a gimmick. It is the game. If they give you decor, they give you decor. And it can be, I have been using this decor here, because which one is it? It's right, where is it? I want to show you the one I've been using. This is the one I've been using. This one I like. I mean, I like that. I mean, yes, it's a little on the dark side, but people know that it's not a trap. I mean, if they know that, I like really using it because people know it's not a trap. It's a neat thing, and the traps don't really blend with it, so the traps kind of stand out a little bit. So I have been using this one when I can, just for the ambiance. Now the other ambiance that I like to use is the blood stain, which is kind of cool when you use it in an area where you've got warmongers. It just kind of makes it. Why do I always have trouble finding the ones that I'm looking for? All right, so it's got to be here, right? I mean, no, I thought the blood stain. Haven't used a blood stain in a while, but I know it's here. Maybe it's in under. Oh, well, I think it's under this one. Yeah, here we go. So you got the two blood stains. Actually, before they were darker blood. Now they're like a black blood. Maybe they tone those down, because you can do this because of what it is. It's a decal, it will, oh, there it is right there. There's the one I'm looking for. It's a decal. So you can put it on blocks that are cornered. See how I was able to put them on those blocks that are, so because it's a decal, you can really add the blood stains to the, so there's a difference between how the decals work versus, I never can remember the blood stain, but I got to remember it's a decal. And then from the props, you know, in what you've got here. So the decals you can apply the decals to the hallways that I've created like this, whereas you can't put that down there or up there, but the decals can go in. All right, well, hopefully this video finds you well and you've enjoyed it. And I'm getting my blood stains in, All right, well, this has been the oven, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And thank you for joining me. This has been the Tarkus Zone.